Hello everybody, my name's Maddie and this is my mid-year WIP Parade plus everything parade. I've got some whips, some kits and some finishes and fully finished objects to show you today. Okay, welcome to the pattern and kit part of my everything parade. We're starting here in this it's just a binder that I got from an op shop which houses all of my like flat patterns that I've got. So got a couple in here. This one is Lavender and Lace, Lady of the Thread. And that's the picture there. I love the fact that she's stitching. And then this one here is a butternut road. What is it called? Feathers and Friends is what this one is called. And I honestly don't know why I'm so drawn to this one, but I am. It's very cute. It's another one that I picked up secondhand. I think it's in German, if I'm not mistaken. It's like a little garden scene. And then we have the kit. I'm going to pull it out. You've probably seen this one before. It shows up a lot on the secondhand market. There's a few on eBay that I've found in Australia as well. It's a Themeco gardener's cart and it is a full kit that I've got in here. But because it's so flat, I've just got it in my binder. This was originally out of a magazine. It's called Classic Columns. It's not that interesting. Here is what I would consider one of my unicorns, The Castle by Teresa Rensler. I picked this up on eBay secondhand. I think it was under $30 AUD. There's a pretty big crease here and the pattern itself has a big ink stain on it, but it's like down in the rocks here somewhere. I am going to start this one day, but I am going backwards and forwards on a colour conversion. I really want this dragon to be purple, but I need to figure that out when I go to kit this project up, because I'll need to see all of the other colours that are in it to choose the right purple. Okay, there you go, you can see that ink stain there. I should be able to make it up. I think it'll be fine. This one, let me just move the crinkles away over there. This is Wild Menagerie by Cross My Heart. Had a friend gift this to me as a bit of a de-stash on their part. I had the fabric. They gifted me the pattern and the black Aida. I've since used the black Aida for other projects, so I'll have to get some when I go to do this one. Not sure whether I'll use an Aida or an even weave when I go to do it. I'll have to see if there's any quarter stitches or anything like that. This is a very random one that I found in an op shop. It's these fish and it's on red paper, the pattern. I love this one. Eastern Rosella. It's a Ross Originals design. It's another Ross Originals. Australian Beak. These are butterflies. Another Cross My Heart. I got secondhand on eBay. I think this one was a really low price. It kind of reminds me of, I've got this group of 3 friends, they're all guys, and they're just best friends, and to me, they each kind of look like one of these, and I think it's funny and dorky, so I'll think of them when I'm stitching it. That is the whole pattern. Let's not do that. Oh, it's a terrible printout. I think a lot of you know this is the Witchy Stitcher, and it is Poisonous Plants. So it's a terrible printout, but you get the idea. That's why I've got the whole pattern face up, so I know what it is. This is an Etsy pattern. Oh, I forget the shop name, but a couple of my friends really liked this pattern, and I think I'll do this one in half cross when I do it, maybe on a smaller count, like a spare piece of the 22 count that I've got, or I think I've still got a piece of 28, or actually there's a piece of 25 in there I could use. Something like that, so it'll go quite quickly, because I think it's the colours in this that really make the magic, not necessarily the detail in it. Another Witchy Stitcher. I practice Stitchcraft, this one's called. This is Our Forest freebie. Friendly Lemurs. This is my printout of another freebie from Our Forest. It is the garden. There's like potted plants. I don't have a cover photo. Didn't print a cover photo with it, so. It's another Our Forest freebie, 100 Owls. It's a really popular one. You've probably seen it before. I really like it. And I think when I do go to stitch it, I will learn about each owl as I'm stitching them. Yeah, on the listing on the website for Our Forest, they've got a photo of each of the owls that inspired the design. So I think I'm going to note those down and learn about them as I stitch them. This is a printout from World of Cross Stitching magazine. I can't remember which issue, but I really like the ship in the bottle. It's another, I'd say that'd be, the World of Cross Stitching as well, because I found all these ones in different issues. I got them on the app, there's Libby it's called, and I was able to put in my library card membership, and I can access all of the World of Cross Stitching magazines, and there's a couple other magazines as well. So I went through a couple of them, picked out some of my favourites and printed them off, so I've got them ready to go. It's a couple of Anne Stokes here. And that's it for the folder for now. Plenty of space to get more patterns in my collection, right? So, no particular order. We have a Lynart kit. I've always wanted a Lynart kit. They always look so beautiful sitting on the shelf in the cross stitch shops. Got a little cardboard box with a handle. And then you can see some of the colours, there's a clear spot there, and the fabric. This is part of the Home and Cross Stitch collection. This one's the poppies. I'm going to be starting this one on Anzac Day in the future. It was a kit that I bought at, it wasn't the Cruel Gremlin, it was a shop called Stitch in Sydney, and it had the felt in it as well. They had it all kitted up. But I've since used it a couple of times. I've got 2 of these. Excuse me. I've got 2 of these needle books. And I've kept it around because it's easy to make more now. Yeah, I've got an idea of like how they come together. This is a dimensions kit. And before I bought it, I thought it was just a standard cross stitch because it says stamped cross stitch kit, so I thought it was one of those like where the Ada's been stamped. Horrible. Let me see if I can show you. Yeah, so you can see this is like normal fabric, right? This is like cotton, almost like quilting cotton. It's just like a normal fabric, and then printed on it. I've been in here and looked at the colors as well, but it's a normal fabric, and then for the cross stitching it's like printed on like that, so it's like embroidery more so than like a traditional cross stitch. So I was a little like confused when I first opened it. I didn't realize that's what it was when I bought it. I still think I will do it one day. I'll just have to wait for the right mood to strike me. This is a freebie that I got in a magazine. Sideways, you can see all of it. Apparently you can stitch it in a weekend, which is what I might do. If I go on a weekend trip or something, I might just bring this with me. It's all very neat in there. Ready to go, and it wouldn't take up much space, so very cute. This is one that I picked up recently at a convention. It is a Princess Mononoke design from Fangirl Stitches, which you can find on Etsy. They have been going to a lot of conventions lately though too here in Australia. That's it all there, kitted up, ready to go. I'm probably going to change out this Ada for like, I'm thinking a linen, like a dark linen would be really cute. This is one that I found at an op shop. There was actually a whole heap of them there, so very cute, very simple. It's all in there ready to go. Even the little like ribbons to finish it, and the cardstock. It's another one that's like a weekend project that I might take away if I go somewhere. Following on the trend of small kits, this is one that I found at Spotlight. And it's like, the box is kind of cute too. It's all little bits in there. Another quick one. This is a hand-me-down from my boyfriend's late grandmother's stash. Rainforest Parrot by Co. This is a more standard printed cross stitch. So I got an LNS. I can't remember which one I bought this at, but you'll see Ladybird at a few different LNSs around the Sydney area. This was the one that I liked the most, of the Autumn Cottage. I think these come in a series with all the different seasons. This is the one that I like the most. You can see there on the back. That's what I mean by like a standard cross stitch, right? Because it's the Ada and then it's printed on, so you don't have to count where your colors are, you just paint by numbers. This is my first bothy threads. This is Bedtime Kiss. I think it's very sweet. Although I do have a little bit of trouble in my brain because I'm super picky about the perspective on this, because like this little guy looks like a little guy, right? Okay, cool. And then these two foxes look like they're the wrong size. Like this one, like his body should be down here somewhere, right? His tail. But it's not there, he's just a face. And this guy kind of looks like he fits with Mum, but it's like, I don't know if he fits in right with this one. So I'm probably going to do them separate. I think I'm going to do this one on the kitted Ada because it comes with that spotty Ada. I think I'm going to do this, the mum and the baby here on the Ada it comes with. And I might do this little guy separately too because I really like his face and his expression. This guy's cute. I might do him separately as well, but putting them together I think would bother me. So super cute. I got it for sale at a pretty good price. This is a Make It kit, mini ladybird, hoop included, very cute, all there ready to go. This is another one that I'll probably take on a trip with me, probably not quite a weekender, could be, depends on how much stitching time I get in, but you know, this is something that'll fit in a bag really nicely, and all I need to put in there is a little pair of scissors or snips or something, and we're good to go. This one is another op shop find, gold collection by Dimensions, the Mighty Samurai. This is an older Dimensions. It's kitted up like this with like a plastic bag on the back and a organizer, thread organizer there. I think somebody may have started it in the past because the organizer has been used, like it's been organized. And I don't think it's been stitched fully, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't really investigated a lot, you know how you find things in secondhand and grab them, or at least I do anyway. I probably put this on a different thread organizer. I find these paper ones that are super long a little bit annoying. Yeah, I don't think anyone finished it. It's still got its beads with it. That's been well loved. Somebody did start it at some point because you can see it's all crinkled. I've got one a little bit like this Dragonfly Scroll. You'll see later in the whip part of this Everything Parade. Oh my goodness, how did it go together? I can't remember. We're gonna do it like this. It's probably wrong because it covers up the name. Anyway, cool packaging. I love the colors. Oh my goodness, these are the best finds of my entire life. Alright, so I was at an embroidery event in Canberra and it's part of the embroidery guilds, and they had a second-hand stall there, and I found these in the bin. One of these is an out of print, I think Tatiana is. So these are like sister pieces, and guess how much I bought these? Yes, that is correct. I got these for $1 each, Mirabilia patterns. And I think one of them's out of print. So there's Tatiana and a Midsummer Night's Fairy. I couldn't believe it when I saw both of them. They're just beautiful. So grateful that I found those. There's a few other mirrors there as well, but I only grabbed those ones because those are the ones I wanted to do. This is another Seamco one from late grandmother's stash. This is Mirabilia Lantern Fairies? I can't remember what it's called. Shakespeare's Fairies. Lantern Fairies is what I remember them as, because they've got the lanterns. And I think I've seen a couple of people put this on a really dark fabric so the lanterns look really bright. And I love that idea. I think they would look gorgeous. It's only like the tips of the wings that might fade in a little bit, but I think those are in Cryonic looking at it from here. And maybe the staff as well, but you can change the colour of that staff, no worries at all, so I think I'll do these on a dark fabric when I get to starting them. I've been picking up the Mirabilias that I love when I see them because I know they go out of print quite suddenly, so. This is one that I picked up on sale. I looked at it a fair few times in the LNS that I was at. It's Needles Dance by Ink Circles and Summerhouse Stitchworks and Hands On Design. It's like a collaboration piece. That's what it looks like on lighter coloured fabric. That's what it looks like on the blue. Pretty. Another kit that I found at a discounted price. This is, it's called Native Souls. Look at all the colours in their fur. They're not just brown, they've got these blues and oranges and pinks and all sorts, and I love their expressions. And I think, yeah, I stole it came with a 16 count Ada, and I've stolen the Ada because I needed it to kit something up, and I was too impatient to go to the store. So here's another little kit. It's a DMC Australian Collection Crimson Rosella baby. It is. It's a baby Crimson Rosella. All you need is a little hoop in there, and it's another one that's good on the go. A little bit bigger than that ladybird, but still small. Could do that one in hand, honestly, I probably would. Speaking of the ladybird, here's another one. A mini bee. I love bees. Same concept. Little kit, ready to go. Another mirror that I found. This one is, oh, they always get up in there. Lily of the Woods, this one's called. And oh my goodness. Isn't she beautiful? Here is Nighttime Owl by Tiny Modernist. I will admit I wasn't going to buy this, and then somebody else bought a mushroom. There's a mushroom design that's in a circular sort of hoop. It's a big mushroom from Tiny Modernist that I love, that I was eyeing off for ages, that I wanted, and then somebody else bought it at the LNS out from under my nose, and I thought, right, I'm not going to be disappointed again. I'm going to get what I want. So I bought this. And I'm not entirely sold by the colours in the owl. I'm just not. I don't know how I feel about it. So the design itself, the owl and the mushrooms and the like composition and everything, I love. So I think this will be a colour conversion for me. I might like it a little bit more if I do that. My final mirror in stash is Ofilia. Look at that dress. It's huge. Massive. But I couldn't leave it. Look at her with the lily pads. I thought about Ofilia a lot before I purchased her. Like I said before, I think it's just safer to have them in my stash and then I can stitch them when I want, instead of really wanting to stitch them and then them being out of print and me having trouble sourcing them. This is another one from the sale bin. I can't resist a good sale bin. Festive Little Fops and Tea Time Edition by Heartstring Sampler. They're all, yeah, what it says on the tin, they're all little tea thingamajigs and whatsits and doodads, and they're just cute. And I thought these would make great little gifts. If I was gonna give anyone a gift, I could stitch up one of these and make something out of it, maybe. Maybe I'll make myself a gift, who knows. Another DMC. This is the same line as the Crimson Rosella, but this is the Kookaburra. And I cannot get over his little face. Look at his beak. Is that not the cutest? Colours in the needle in the back. And the fabric as well. Oh. The Barn Owl from Cottage Garden Samplings, A Year in the Woods. This is number 8. And I love this owl. I thought about this owl so much before I bought it. I love the neck on this owl, how it looks kind of creepy. A little bit haunting. It's so pretty. And then some of my most recent purchases. This is Lovebugs by Handlebar Stitcher. I bought this from Cottage Garden Threads website. It's one that I've looked at a few times as well. They had their mid-year sale recently, so I grabbed a few goodies. And I also grabbed this one. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. Hakia Heart? Hakia Heart? It's got zebra finches on it. And a few different specialty. I'm not sure if they're specialty or they're just straight stitches. I think they might just be straight. Those flowers. It's got bees on it. How can you say no? Look at it. And I really did splurge a bit on this. So this is a Mojo Stitches design, but it was designed with Cottage Garden Threads, and I got the kit from the Cottage Garden Threads website. I know, how fancy. Look at those. Look at that red. And there's a few more like beiges, and then an olive green in there, and then the dark colour. And because I believe, yeah, this is a fairly small design, so I'm going to have leftover threads, which means I'm sort of growing my thread collection as it were. And that's the end of my bin that I've got here. Okay, let's start the WIP part of this everything parade. The first one I have to show you is the one that I'm currently working on. This one, that's the cover photo. What it'll look like in the end. We've got an interruption here. This is my cat Felix. He's very cute. And he might be in my way this whole time. I've got the window open, which means it's warm. It's winter here in Australia, so he's really loving that. He's standing on it. You get the hanging thread out of the way. This is how I've been. I'll let me get the pattern away. We don't show patterns. where I'm up to, where I've been working. This is Dragonfly Scroll. It's a Dimensions Gold collection, kit number 35131. I'm using the kit threads and a 20 count white Ada that I had in stash. So I purchased this one from an op shop. I'm using some Hero and Floss cards here, and I've just used their little stickers to put the thread numbers on. So that's how I'm managing the floss. These are Kohana, I forget what they're called. They're mini scissors. They come with a little leather sheath as well, but when I'm actively working on a project, sometimes I'll stick them on the magnet. This is actually a badge, magnetic badge. The next one's living in this bag. This is a kit that I got in an op shop. That's the cover photo. Seen while I was living here in the area. So this is Dogs and Squirrels. It's an RUYI Choice Goods kit, RY-1853. Started it in October of 2023. It's on an 11 count white Ada with the kit floss, and it is 126 by 102 stitches, and it's stitched 3 strands over one. This next one is in this bag. It's a Riola's kit. It's another one that I got secondhand. That's it here. So this is the kit floss, and it would have been started this year sometime. Early in the year. This is 22 count, and I'm just stitching 1/1 when it calls for full cross, regardless of whether it calls for 2 strands or 1 strand. I'm just doing 1/1, and then when it calls for half cross, I'm doing 1 strand. I don't think I've encountered a place where it's asked for 2 strands half cross. If it does, I will probably do that as well, because I can. I didn't want to try and do 2/1 on the 22. Okay, so this is the giant carry-along maker's case that I made. And inside it is Dragonfly fabric, and it's using a giant piece of the 22 count, and that's my floss monster. It's growing. I'm only adding flosses as I need them. These are floss cards from Hero and Stitch, and I've got giant bags of. That is the cover photo. I've cropped it a little bit. So this is Waterfall Dragons by Matt Stewart, charted Heaven and Earth Designs, and I've chosen the supersized max color version. So it's 799 stitches by 858 stitches, which will be a total of 685,542 when it's all said and done, and it's going to be about 1 meter by 90 centimeters. So that's where I've gotten to since I started it. Let's see if I wrote down when I started it. It's started on the 10th of April 2024. So we're down in the bottom right corner. Over this side. And I'm just in this rock. So the square above where I'm doing is going to be, sorry, the page above where I'm doing, it's going to be that dragon in the background there that you can just see, the green one. Yes, and the coverage is pretty good in person. You can see those white specks, but maybe not quite as much as what you can see here. And I think they call it typewriter method potentially, but I'm completing 10 by 10 columns up and down, sort of like a snake. But I'm picking the color and completing it inside that square or following the thread, depending on how I'm feeling on the day. Sometimes I will just fill in the square because I can't be bothered. And sometimes I can't be bothered finishing and starting my thread so much, so I carry it. Doesn't really matter because I'm still stitching it, and if I'm getting stitches in, it's a win in my books. So this is the top of that rock coming in, so the dragon's up here somewhere, and that's the top of that rock, that color change there. So that's my forever project, my legacy project, my BAP, whatever you want to call it. Everyone's got names for it. So and as you can see, that's the fabric folded in a quarter. So on 22 count, it is ginormous. Okay, next one is in this bag. And it is a long dog. You can see there on my very messed up bit of paper, it's Anzac. There, little kiwi bird in the corner, bottom right hand corner I'm starting in. This is Anzac by Lovebug Samplers. It's on 18 count Aussie Flame Ada from Paddock Lane Designs, and I'm stitching it in PR012 by Silks For You. Started 29th of Feb, and my goal is to finish it by the 29th of Feb 2028. So that's Paddock Lane Designs business card there, and that's what I got, 18 count opal in Aussie Flame. And then this is the Silks For You that I got. Looks like, I can't remember whether I got 3 or 4 skeins, but yeah, PR10. 012, not 10 at all. And yeah, we've just got the little crab, butterfly, and the kiwi bird in. Here's my Cathedral Woods goddess, which lives in this bag here. Give you a good look at that cover photo. So that's what Cathedral Woods will look like. Picking up beautifully on camera. So Cathedral Woods Goddess by Nora Corbett. It's Mirabilia MD164. It's on a 32 count Fox and Rabbit Seaweed is the colour. And like I said, mixed of cord floor and substitutions. It was started New Year's Day this year. It's my New Year, New Start. And I am doing this skin 2/1 10th stitch. I did try 1/1, but it just wasn't working out. There is a little bit of 1/1 in here, but it just wasn't looking neat. So I found the 10th stitch. I found a way that I can do it. I have to do the set of 4 in a certain order to get the stitches not to pull on the linen and to actually get them to sit neatly. So I'm still deciding whether stitching the skin different to the rest of the design is worth the extra effort. because I don't find it particularly enjoyable, but I do also really love how it looks. So, don't know on that one. I love the beads. Beading is so much fun too. So, I started in the center of the design, went out this way, did a bit of this arm, and then traveled across, and I've done this arm. And I like to work right to left. Generally speaking, I like to work from the bottom right up. So essentially I've used this as my bottom right, and I'm coming up over this way, and that way I can work down, and then from here I'll be able to work down and across. That's the game plan, but who knows. Honestly, I'll stitch in whatever way that keeps me interested. And I keep my flosses for this one on a floss ring with the Hero and Stitch floss drops. So that's the colours there. Next one is in this bag, which was my attempt at a patchwork bag. I need to practice my patchwork. This one is the Herbalist Stitch Along from World on a String by Dara. It's an active stitch along. Predominantly through this, there's one DMC variation for the border. I'm not up to date. I think there was one more square released this week. And I'm using that brown for the text is a Cottage Garden Threads. It was a limited edition run. JK06 Hot Coffee. Because the variation that I'm using for the border wasn't showing up. There wasn't enough contrast on the variation, which is 4066. So that's the variation there. And I think it's showing up great for the border, but the words just weren't standing out. So I pulled out this one, which I'd gotten recently at that point, and I started using it, and these are a dream to work with. I do love Cottage Garden threads. And that's my floss for a stitch along. In a way, I'd lose it. And this is one of my 14 by 14 size bags. I think the binding is called, like, it's just quilting binding, I think. This one. I will have to try and insert a photo maybe. This one was another test ahead of my supersize to figure out if I would like to work on 28 count, which would have been great because 28 count's obviously a lot smaller. So it would have made the pattern smaller, like not the pattern, the design smaller, but turns out I don't really enjoy stitching on 28 count. Not enough at the moment to do that whole big one. So, this is the start of Billabong. And the faded bit at the bottom was when I was trying 1/1 cross to see how that goes. But I didn't like the coverage of that. And then I tried 2/1 10th stitch for a little bit, and I didn't like the way that that was sitting. So then I moved to 1/1 full cross, and I've been able to get some stuff done since then. So, and I just make these little bags for my floss usually that like match. Well, sometimes I do, not all the time. If I've got spare fabric and vinyl, I'll do something like this. and just shove my floss in there. I'm trying not to get as much friction with the floss to stop it like fluffing up. That one's in DMC Favorite Bags. One in the floss tube community. The Lovebug Sampler by Sprouting Lupine. And there are 2 other pink sampler bug style designs out from Sprouting Lupine now, and there's also a yellow themed one. So very exciting. I might do another one in the future. I'll let this one settle down first, I think, before I do that. And that's where I'm up to. I just finished off the cicada last week. Lovebug Sampler by Sprouting Lupine on Etsy. It's a 20 count navy Ada that I dyed myself. I started on the 14th of February 2024 and I'm aiming to have it done by the end of February next year. I'm using Blanc 4170 963 961 304 and 814. All those are DMCs. Now the numbers might be useful for some people, but for anything like me, the numbers don't really matter as much as what they actually look like. So there we go. It's dark, and this one, 4170 is a variation. It's got some really soft pinks and soft yellows. Not even yellows, I'd say maybe orange or peaches in there. It's very subtle. You almost can't tell the difference between it, the light pink, and the white. So that's the variation, that's the light pink, and the lines here are the white. And again, we've got the pink variation, white. And I'm doing 1/1 full cross. The back stitching in the cicada, I've couched 2 strands. So I've put 2 strands on a needle, and I've put 1 strand on another needle, and I've laid down the 2 strands and then couched it, like stitched over it to tack it down. That way they don't move, because some of these are long back stitches. And I like my projects to be able to be washed or handled. I don't like worrying about where the back stitch is going to sit. And this scribbling here is just a chalk pencil. I'm trying to figure out if I want to add something in here to fill in the space, like a little line of love hearts or something. I'm still undecided. I might just leave it the way the pattern's intended. I'm going to go fill in all of the white that's around that praying mantis at the top, and then fill it in last because I'm really excited about that praying mantis. Welcome back to the finished part of this everything parade, and to what started it all. So I have this one professionally framed, mind the cat hair, and this is my butterflies. So let me see if I can get this all in frame. There we go. Not that you... This is something that I started in 2018, it would have been. And I finished it in 2022, I think. 21 or 22. I'll have the exact date somewhere, but I don't care to go and find it. Now this is probably not the most morally correct pattern that I've ever done. I grabbed some photos off of Google, not royalty-free ones, obviously, and I put them in one of those automatic cross-stitch makers. I forget which program it was now. It was so long ago that put it in there, and then I printed that off, and obviously it had charted all the background in, so I just ignored the background stitches, and it also charted it in like 50 odd colours or something, and I didn't have that many colours. I just inherited my boyfriend's grandmother's stash after she passed. I didn't have that many colours, so I combined some of the colours. So the black stitches in that green butterfly, I think there was about 3 or 4 colours in there, and they're all just black now. And then there's some blues and greens in there, which may have been 2 or 3 colours. Like, you get the point. I've combined them. So I made myself this chart that had like a list of the 3 or 4 symbols and then what the actual colour was. And that's what I used to stitch it. And I think this butterfly came out beautifully. This one also quite beautiful, especially from a distance. This one's not my favourite, but everyone seems to love it. So that's that one. Get him out of the way. And while we are on the wide angle, this is my Orchids Art Nouveau, fully finished. It's from Annette S on Etsy, but her shop is not called that. Again, I had the details somewhere, but I can't remember off the top of my head. One of my more recent floss tube videos, I went over all of the stats. This was I think the second thing I picked up after my butterflies. So I had been doing my butterflies, found floss tube, started really loving it, looked on Etsy, found some patterns, and this one I think is one of the first ones I started. Not realizing how huge, truly huge it is. It's on an 18 count Ada with DMC. You got a really good look at it in one of my more recent floss tubes. I'm really proud of this. You can sort of see my stitching journey, how I've got some tension lines from when I was first stitching it and now, and I sort of found my groove down here. Okay, a train cross stitch. You've probably seen it peeking off into the corner while I was talking about the other ones. How did I end up with train cross stitch? I don't even really like trains that much. I've never been into transport or locomotion or anything like that. I probably wouldn't pick up this pattern. So how did I end up with it? How did I end up stitching it? Well, I found it in an op shop. As I find a lot of things, I've been very lucky in the past with my op shopping and found some amazing things. And this was one of them. I was sitting in a bag, fully kitted, and I pulled out the fabric to have a look at it. And lo and behold, it was stitched. So this front half here, minus the back stitching, probably up to past this box here, was completed by somebody else, a mystery person. And the pattern had, like, there was the coal car as well, so there was the little, I don't know what you call them, but the box that the person stands in, and then the coal car as well. So it was supposed to be quite a long piece. And, you know, I thought, oh, it's nearly half done by somebody else. I can finish this. I can pick it up and finish it. And I kind of did. But when I actually got to stitching it and started doing it, I realized why the other person put it down. This is full of half stitches and quarter stitches. And by half stitches, I don't mean like this way half stitches. I mean like the cross is half the width of the other ones around it. You might be able to pick some out there. Like that dark green line, that's what I mean. Like it's a squished cross stitch. And you can see where I started stitching it because my top legs are in the opposite direction to the previous stitcher. And doing that sort of thing, where there's all these different, you gotta pierce the Ada all the time. And it was so hard to keep track of. And I understand why the other person donated it, why they stopped stitching it, because it was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. So I decided that I was never going to finish it to the full amount of the pattern. So I picked a stopping point, which was just before this little place where a person would stand, whatever you call that on a train. I stopped and I stitched up to there. And then I put the little box around it and put the little name on it and backstitched it all and called it a day. And this looks absolutely fantastic hanging on the wall. It is magnificent. The amount of detail that is in this for the size of the piece is stunning. It looks great on the wall. I will never ever do something like this on Ada ever again. I think because it wasn't even weave, it would be a little bit better. But still, it would have been difficult to do because you've got to try and keep track of what you've done and what you haven't done. But yeah, this is definitely an even weave project, not an Ada project. I'm quite proud of myself for bringing this to a point where it can be displayed. And that is the story of how I ended up with a green train on my wall. Oh, I lied to you earlier. You know when I said this is where it all began with the butterfly? I completely lied to you. This is where it all began. When I was a young child, my grandmother on my dad's side taught me how to cross stitch. I'm sure a lot of us have stories like this. And it was a magazine pattern. I can't remember from which magazine, but it was a set of 4 sea creatures. And I started with the dolphin, which turned into a huge knotted mess, and I never ended up finishing it. But these ones I did finish, and I finished these before 2018. They were sitting just like I hadn't fully finished them, I'd finished them. And they had been sitting in a box for forever. And I think it was around 2018, 19, maybe even later than that. I think it may have been later. It may have been when we moved that I finally bought some little tiny, it's a loose thread there, don't mind me. I'll have to nip that at some point. I bought some little hoops and finally finished them. So I've got these. This is the command like Velcro. I've just punched some holes in it and stitched it on the back here. And it's just a bit of scrap fabric stitched onto the back of the hoop there. And because they're so light, they just sit on with the Velcro. So this is before floss tube time. So my top legs are all over the place because I just did whatever was closest. But I finished them and I backstitched them and I did all 3 of them. I think the whale I did last. I remember it most. The other ones I'd done way earlier. But yeah, they're quite cute, so they sit on the wall. So this is the true origin story, but because I don't remember really doing them that much and they were so old, they're not as like imprinted in my memory. Like the butterflies were something that I set an end goal for. I'd started doing other whips as well, and I got those professionally framed, so. But these were, I don't know if you'd call it the tutorial level of my stitching journey. Yes, very cute. Next, my Kit Kat. I love this so much. Looking at this on the wall, because I've got it just with another one of those little Velcro things. And it's just like foam that you do for bag making. But look at it. Look at this Kit Kat. Look at it. It's actually a Kit Kat, and it brings me so much joy. It was charted in full cross, but I did it in half cross because I was experimenting and I just wanted it to go quickly, and it did go quickly. And I'm still undecided on how I feel about 10th stitch. But I do love this Kit Kat. I think it's so funny. And the way I finished it, I'm in love. I cannot. It's a Kit Kat. I know I keep repeating myself, but it just is so silly and so fun and so cute, and I just love it. And this is my Kit Kat. On to my most recent finish. I started this on Anzac Day and finished it a couple of weekends ago now. It's a poppy. It's very different to how it was charted. It was another magazine find. And I'm going to put some text on there, so it's not actually finished, but I'm going to write backstitch in the year that I stitched this. A bee. This is by Wild Bluebell Designs on Etsy. Finished this in September 23, and it was my first attempt at linen, and it nearly made me give up. So my very, very first attempt at linen, and I started down in here in this flower. There's a color conversion too, because I just got it from Stash. I didn't use the proper colors, which is why it looks a little bit funny. Because I never listen, and I always just pick my own colors from Stash because I don't want to buy new colors. Or even when I do buy new colors, I'm trying to get Cosmo or something else or make up my own. And then I end up with these finished cross stitches where the colors just don't quite sit right. Whereas if I just followed the instructions and done it the way it was charted, it would probably look right. But a lot of people love this, and I do love the way that the flowers turned out with the soft greens and the beige and the cream, and I just think those are beautiful, and I love the color of this yellow. I think it's so pretty. And the wings turned out nice, so it's really just this brown that I have beef with, if I'm being honest. This is very lazily finished. It doesn't even have a bit of fabric on the back. So that's what it looks like underneath the fabric, in case you're wondering. It is not neat and tidy, not at all. It is just enough to keep it on there. And the hoop's probably a bit small, but the next size up was too big, so it got finished in this hoop. Oh, my beloved. Try to keep my name off of these things if I can. My beloved horrorflies. Look at them. I love it. Although I was just complaining about my colour choices and the way that I change everything up and how that's really annoying. And I just realised that this one is a colour conversion from Stash. It's on a tea coffee dyed fabric. And I also recharted the font and I recharted the corners. And I'm in love. So maybe it's a bit of hit and miss as to whether or not I like when I break the rules. And there is supposed to be some little leaves like these in here, and I completely forgot them, and I just added in my own little sparkles. So we have blank space and sparkles, which is not as the creator intended. It's Noctiflora Designs. This is a stitch along, the Horrorfly stitch along from last year. Or the year before? Can't remember now. I finished it in 23, so it would have been last year. And I love this. Put it up on the wall, and it inspires me to stitch, because I just love how it turned out. I think Noctiflora is finishing up their second stitch along, which is the Vampirium this year. It looks super cute as well. Just a couple more little finishes that I've done recently. There's apples. It's a magazine. Like that columns one, if we've seen the kit part. Yeah, from the pattern part of this Everything Parade. It is like that. And I chose my own colours for this, and I regret everything. I think that bright green that is on the red apple should have been in the leaves where that yellow green is, and they should have been flipped. But from the colour descriptions on the key, I thought this was the way it was supposed to be. Or maybe I got my wires crossed. Either way, I think I did the colours wrong. But I don't care enough to change it. It's on a 40 count Newcastle linen from Zweigart. And I still think it's cute. And I think there's supposed to be leaves up here somewhere in one of the apples, but I didn't do that either. Because when I'm done with a cross stitch and I'm over it, sometimes, like you saw with the train, I will just choose a point to stop, and then I will finish it, and then it will sit on my shelf and make me happy. So that is apples. And it is actually not quite finished properly. I'll show you the horror that is the back of this. Yep. It is literally just folded over, and those are just sewing pins in the corner. And that is all that is holding this in. Just friction. It is not even finished properly. And I don't care. It's cute, it sits on my shelf. I might use this frame for something a little bit more substantial in the future. Who knows? You know, I did it. I did the apple. And last but not least, this little flower, tilting it so you can see it. Flowers. This is it was like it's secondhand obviously. I got it somewhere at an op shop, I think. And it was supposed to be a whole vase, be in one of my floss tube videos, I think, because I did it this year. And it was supposed to be a whole vase. It was a kit, it had a frame, it was a blue frame, and you know, story of my life, I finished the flower part and I thought, oh, this looks nice. And I didn't want to stitch a boring blue vase with green stems, so I just finished it where I finished it and put the cute little bow in there and made it a bouquet instead of a... I'm trying to show you without the shadow, because this is like a shadow box, and if I show you it like this you can't see the top of it, but maybe that is better. And it's got a bajillion French knots in there. So this was very good French knot practice. And I think it's very sweet and very cute. And I did not follow the instructions for the backstitching. It's supposed to have like old school 90-degree angle square sort of looking backstitching, and I chose chaos and backstitched it however I thought I would like it, with smoother lines. And it's more like couching, honestly, because I laid down like the top of the stitch. I think I actually did couch it and not actually backstitch it. I'm pretty sure I couched it. So I laid down a thread, and then I had a separate thread on my needle, and I couched, like, I did that over the thread to get all those curves in, because I wanted it to be round, because petals are round and so are leaves, and that's the way I wanted it, so that's the way I did it. These two frames I found, I think they're at an op shop for a couple of dollars each. I always keep my eye out for these sorts of things. And that is everything that I have with me in my possession as a finished still. Welcome back to my face. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you all in the next one.